Hi there. Welcome to IFA Insights, where we sit down with seasoned financial professionals to talk about practical wisdom for independent financial advisors looking to grow their practices or protect them. Today, we're talking with Rhonda Fuller. She is our Chief Operating Officer, and we're going to talk about hiring and retaining talent. We know that it's hard to retain talent. It's also hard to find it. We've heard a lot about the talent wars. And we know that without the right team behind an advisor practice, growth stalls, clients suffer, and obviously we get that famous burnout that will creep in. So Rhonda here, she's been in the industry for over 2 decades. You've led several teams in the financial services space, both front of house and back of house, with different firms. And you've done a tremendous job hiring and maintaining the staff here at ARC, so you've got all that real world experience. Let's just start with a basic question. Why do great employees leave?
Thinking about, my past and experience, I think there's probably 3 primary reasons why talented employees leave organizations. One is the lack of growth opportunities, no real career path set for them, poor management, micromanaging that happens, and not, really feeling the independence that they need to grow. And then, the elephant in the room is compensation and benefits. Not having a comparable compensation and benefits compared to the industry and their peers within a particular organization.
Yeah, I think it's important for advisors to remember that if we hired a receptionist 20 years ago and that pay was 20 grand, even if you just did straight inflation on that, I don't know the exact number, but it's probably almost double. There are so many studies out there too that show you what the competitive salary is for a specific role. So doing the research on that is really important. So let's say we've got an advisor that is really trying to grow their practice. They want to create their ensemble. What would you say is the first step to stopping employee turnover to help build a team that actually sticks around?
Well, I would say that probably the first step you should take, and this is around, hiring a new individual, is that you definitely should not only interview for a certain skill set, but you should be testing for that skill set. And there's a lot of tools available on the internet that you can utilize for a small fee to actually test for the skills that you're looking for. And you can also create testing scenarios yourself if you need something very specific to actually provide to an applicant to answer questions and see if it's a right fit of that skill set that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we make the mistake often of they interviewed fantastically, but being in the industry, we know that the data matters. So you've got to have the data and the people skills for a good hire. We often hear that comment of nobody can do it as well as I can. I don't want to delegate it. They're not going to do as good of a job as I would do doing it. So how would you help convince an advisor to start letting go of a few things?
Yeah, and I'm guilty of this. I'm kind of a control freak myself, But I think you need to reframe control as empowerment. Think of it as empowerment. So, have the mindset that you're not losing control, but you're gaining capacity and you're empowering employees. And, as long as you're providing clear values, expectations, if there's deadlines associated, communicating that information up front and then delegating that out, and not focusing necessarily on how it's being done, but is it being done in that manner and timely is key.
Let's talk about creating that process for a employee. So we've talked a little bit about there has to be a clear path Can you talk a little bit about what a path might be for an admin that's coming in? Like maybe it's one of their first jobs or it's their first job in the industry. What are some ways on an advisor team you could develop that person?
Well, I think, definitely is having that conversation with that individual, whether, let's say, if you're using the example of someone that doesn't have a lot of industry experience, you actually communicating with them, helping educate them, if there's training available on say ClientWorks or with Swab, there is a lot of training available to actually have them, complete the training so they can become familiar with the industry. There's still a lot of information that they're not, you're not going to be able to retain. But at, a certain point, start delegating work to them in regards to making it a thoughtful process. So making sure that you're not giving them just menial data entry type tasks, but giving them tasks that actually help broaden their knowledge in the industry and how it relates to your business. And then providing, recognition, appreciation, that's important. As well as ensuring that you do that regularly and sincerely. But starting out, there's baby steps, but constant communication I think is key with that, and seeing how they're progressing, how they're developing, and then gaining that trust between you and them. And it'll just continue, and ultimately empowering them. Again, you want to have empowered employees.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, do you have any examples of a time where we've changed a process or mindset that really improved our employee engagement or retention?
I want to say that we adopted a more flexible work environment. And that's kind of a broad statement, but we applied that to flexible looking at PTO, a flexible PTO environment, flexible work schedule, trying to provide a good work-life balance for our team. No one comes to work to do a bad job. I don't feel like that happens, but sometimes outside elements, impacts, your work life. So, again, communicating, having that open communication and trust with your team members so that they can share maybe the challenges that they have, and then helping them come up with a solution to then benefit you both, that they're able to be successful in their life situations, and then also that we all can be successful in our work situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Take care of them so they can take care of your clients.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit about growth and development, flexibility. I guess that just kind of leads us to our last question. So what is something that an advisor could start doing this month to increase the strength of the relationship and the loyalty with their employees?
I think is having a conversation with your staff or on an individual basis, and basically tell them that you care about them and you want them to be successful in life, and you care about where they're going and where they're wanting to be, and asking them how can you help them be successful at that, and talk to them about what they're doing today. Is it what do they enjoy doing today in the role that they're in, and maybe what they don't enjoy, and then develop a plan, a career plan, a skill plan based on those conversations to help them continue to grow, because that's really important, is keeping employees challenged and growing keeps their interest with you. They won't be looking, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think a lot of times advisors will kind of say, oh, well, there isn't a growth plan, right? Because if it's just one advisor and one assistant, they're like, well, they're just going to be an assistant. But there are a lot of things that you can pass on to them as a business grows. You know, they could start handling your QuickBooks and doing your P&L. They can start paying your bills. They can start building the calendar or exploring new technology to implement. There's a lot of added responsibilities that you can give, even if the team is small.
Right.
And then I would also say that money talks, right? Yeah. So sure, the job will always have an administrative element, but if the compensation continues to rise with the level of responsibility and the importance in your practice, you're going to create a lot of loyalty for your employees.
Yeah, definitely compensation. And you know, if the compensation is a challenge, then you need to try to make up for it on the benefits side. Like we mentioned before, the flexibility, you know, and also, you know, even look into, you know, can you provide a 401k plan for them, a SEP plan for them, something, you know, what else can you provide on the benefits side that maybe will bridge the gap a little bit if there is a compensation challenge. So yeah,
I think that's the real benefit of like the independent space is if you're working for a large corporation and you have a staff person that wants to be able to leave at 3 to pick up kids, but then they'll work 2 more hours at home, that's necessarily not going to work in a large corporate environment, but that could be a benefit we offer to really keep employees around, and they'll, if we're helping them put their family first, they're going to really value their relationships.
Definitely.
All right, Rhonda. Well, thank you so much for your insight. You know, we're always looking at focusing on client retention, but employee retention is just as important. As we've learned, if a really strong admin leaves a practice, sometimes you experience some attrition from that as well. So it's really important to keep that in place, and hiring takes time and a lot of money when you're retraining and all of that. So if you are an advisor looking to build a more loyal, engaged team, this is your sign to invest in your people, not just your business. Be sure to subscribe to IFA Insights for more candid conversations with industry leaders, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you.